The theme of our lecture is optional course. Today we are going to discuss the following questions. The first, the aims of the optional course. The second, the organization of the optional course. The third, the content of the optional course. The aims of the optional course. The optional course in a foreign language is undertaken voluntarily. It is desirable, however, that those enrolled should be well prepared for such a course. If a pupil makes slow progress in a foreign language in the essential course, he must not join the optional group. The optional course in a foreign language should be recommended only to those who are not only interested in the subject, but make good progress in it and have a certain aptitude for foreign languages. Pupils who wish to make the optional course in a foreign language should be enrolled at the end of the school year, before they are dismissed for summer holidays. Having done this, the staff forms groups and determines the teachers for these groups. The organization of the optional course. Since the optional course is not an essential one but a course taken voluntarily by the learners, it is necessary to dwell upon the conditions under which a desire to learn the language thoroughly might appear. Firstly, such desire may develop when pupils make progress in the foreign language in the essential course, when they feel that learning the language is not a waste of time. They realize that if they had more time for learning the language, they would read and speak it much better, though they do not display a special interest in it. For example, a boy is interested in electronics. He knows there is a lot of interesting English literature in the field, so he will try to do his best to enroll in order to be able to read what they want. Secondly, such a desire may appear when a pupil is fond of the language, when it becomes his hobby. In this case, he will look for any chance to learn a foreign language. Essential optional courses, reading with and without a dictionary, listening to the radio, watching TV, speaking to others, etc. There are, of course, other motives which stimulate pupils' wish to learn the foreign language as an option subject. The optional course in a foreign language is possible provided there is a highly qualified teacher who can arouse his pupil's interest, foster a desire to learn, and encourage his pupil's love of independent work at the language. The content of the optional course. The content of the optional course should be hearing, speaking, and reading. Spoken language should be used for enriching pupils' vocabulary and grammar knowledge and as a means of communication in a foreign language. This approach to the problem determines the organization and methods of teaching. The first, various oral exercises for consolidation and assimilation of linguistic material must be extensively used. The second, every pupil should be an active participant of the lesson. The third, the reasonable distribution of time within the class period between the teacher and pupils should be observed. The fourth, the use of various stimuli, visual and audio, and their combinations to stimulate pupils' speech activity are a must. Reading as well as spoken language should be extensively used both as a means of teaching and as a means of getting information. Reading must be the essence of the pupil's independent work at home and during the lesson. In order to develop the skill of reading, one ingredient is important: interest. Where there is interest, there can be speed, accuracy, and improvement in reading efficiency without it suffering. Indeed, without interest, success perhaps is up- unobtainable. Interest is all important because understanding and imagining are more active where there is true interest. In fact, they become fully active when interest is aroused. It is the teacher who can arouse interest in reading. He can recommend texts suitable to the tastes and abilities of every pupil. That is why it is desirable that text for reading should be of two kinds: essential for the whole group and optional for individuals, depending on their interest in and aptitude. The reading of texts essential for the whole group should be closely connected with development of speaking skills. Various tasks may be given to direct pupils' speech on the one hand and to make pupils use the words, phraseological groups, and grammar items the teacher chooses on the other hand. This will help pupils assimilate the vocabulary and enrich it. Questions on the text should not be connected with the contents of the text, such as who, what, when, and where questions. If everyone has read the text, such questions are nonsensical. Questions should draw pupils' attention to something they would be unable to grasp for themselves, or might interpret differently, and make them express their opinion on the subject. These are why, what for, what would you do if you were questions. To teach reading successfully, the following rules should be observed. The first, the teacher must be well acquainted with the class to be able to select text both for the whole class and for individual reading. The second, he must stimulate wide reading through the school library or by working up a small form library. The third, he must prepare assignments to direct pupils' reading. The fourth, the teacher must determine what and how much pupils should read, obligatory or and of their own choice. The fifth, the teacher must think over the methods and techniques he will use while working at the text. What should be read in class and what at home.